Hello, I'm Larry Johnson, and welcome to this episode for the International Unity Club, being hosted by TAS. And I'm pleased to be speaking with Abbas Juma. I pronounce that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Making the tongue work late in the day. But he is, those of you that don't know him, he's a journalist, hosts a radio show at Pravda. And so he tells the truth at truth. Is that correct?
I'm trying. I'm doing my best. Right now I speak at the radio station Moscow Speaks, but yes, I had a period in my life when I worked at the Pravda, Komsomol Pravda.
So, how did you get into the journalism business?
It was a dream from my childhood. I always wanted that I would connect my life with that. I had a crossroad. True, I did. I wanted to be, at a certain point of my life, to be a diplomat, actually a special service agent. All that attracted me, and journalist. But diplomacy later on became too difficult and complicated and boring to me, requiring massive attention and focus. No, wait a minute, that's not for me. But concerning the special service, I have a double citizenship, so again, didn't work out. Journalism puts in everything. That's diplomacy, that's a bit of the spying, it's analytics, it's working with the public, and as much as I think, I do a pretty good job.
Yeah, well, tell them stories. Do you have any journalists that you see as mentors or that you admire their work and want to be like them? And if there aren't any, that's okay. I was just curious. I didn't know if you were ever inspired by people like Pepe Escobar or Cy Hirsch or anyone of that genre.
I know Pepe Escobar. We work together. We are friends. I also watch what you do.
Oh.
And where I look, there's dozens and hundreds of journalists, analysts, that public figures, columnists all over the world. Again, I know most of them personally, but to say that he or she are the mentor. And I took a little bit of a piece from each one of them. I borrowed some things. No, I'm not ashamed of it, but to say that I had a teacher or a mentor who walked with me through water and fire, no.
Okay.
Oh, unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know.
That's quite fair, because I think the key to a really good journalist is being able to tell the stories that the establishment doesn't want you to tell. And so you've been involved, I think, doing that in places like Syria and Ukraine and Gaza too. Have you been into Gaza itself?
No, I have never been there.
Just as well, because you probably wouldn't survive. They're killing journalists at a horrific rate.
Because of that, they kill journalists everywhere. Journalists are targeted Ukraine and Lebanon. We saw how Israel was killing journalists in Lebanon that physically were not in a military operation. It never stopped me. It's just logistically, it's just some circumstances that absence of kind of a strong connection.
Yeah.
With the ones who are present there. But nevertheless, I have a lot of friends that work here and there, even Palestine friends. We meet at third countries at different forums, conferences in Tehran just recently. So I do have sources of information and understanding what takes place there. I'm not there physically, but that makes my job and my analysis a little bit less with the competence of the people that work there.
Okay. We were talking a little bit before. One thing I've been puzzled by is I see Russia, China, and India. Those three countries, by virtue of their size, their economies, they are three of the top four economies in the world in terms of purchasing power parity. That it would appear to me they would have more potential influence to stop the war in Gaza, the genocide, by virtue of threatening Israel, saying, you're going to stop this or else we're going to break off all economic, political, diplomatic relationships. I would think that would be enough leverage, perhaps, to stop this. Am I off base based on your experience?
I would really want that to happen. And in those countries that you said, Russia, India, and China, you can add North Korea, Iran there. Global South is enough leverage, economical and diplomatic, to do so. Question is, how come that didn't take place? And complicated answer, if it is possible at all, counting that we don't know anything. What happens under the rug, behind the curtains, some processes are not known to us, and we just don't understand what we are dealing with in a full volume. But let me risk to say, if we talk about India and China, it's a strong pressure from the side of the America. Israel is a military machine. It's they're very vulnerable and not perfect. That's not a perfect mechanics. Israel cannot withhold, I don't know, 1 week. They could not stand against Iran and others. Israel, from a point of view of diplomacy and they don't exist. And when I say so, I say that not because of the position of the opponent of the Israel. No, they're gonna blame me in anti-Semitism. I don't have anything against Jews, but Israelis themselves, they say we don't respect international laws. What said the head of the headquarters, the ex-head of the headquarters, that almost 2 years he was ruling the operation in the Gaza sector. He said that when we make an operation in the Gaza sector, we were not managing by any legal rules. Nobody and nothing held us back. That's his confession, where he says that we are not the part of the international society. We're not the part of this big global politics. We don't respect. We have only one authority, and that's not actually the United States. It's elites inside of the United States. It's the people that are like patrons, fans of Christian fanatics who, just like us, are Christian Zionists that are protecting us. They want to bring back the last days. Only those days are authorities of they have the power over Israel, and not actually full power, as we have seen Israel till the last minute refused even actually listen to Donald Trump. And just recently, what happened under the Doha attack, when Trump was able to find a necessary argument to press Israel, neither Biden nor Donald Trump, they weren't able to do anything. So we state that Israel is not part of the world society, not a state. In a matter of that state has to go by the rules, UN or Security Council or something like that. It's a separate, it's an American proxy. And when we speak who Russia's supposed to deal with, Russia, India, Iran, and etc. with the Gaza sector, they have to talk to US. Can they press US? Unfortunately, not yet. We don't have enough leverage to do so, such economy and such unity of the global south. We are heading towards it, but that doesn't happen. And I think many years we will not be able to see that united global south with the global economy that talk to America and NATO at equal.
Okay. I may have a disagreement with you on the Zionist action in Doha. I do not believe that could have been carried out without the full knowledge and cooperation of the United States. I've been to Al Udeid Air Force Base. There is a facility there called the Combined Air Operations Center. In military speak, they call it the CAOC, C-A-O-C. It monitors every flight in the region, from the Mediterranean to the Arabian Sea, Indian Ocean, tracks north to Turkey, south, to Oman, Yemen. So they know everything that's flying. And part of their job is to do what they call deconfliction, to make sure that one plane doesn't attack another plane or they don't fly into each other. So that's why when I saw that operation go down, there was no way that the Israelis didn't tell the United, I mean, even if they didn't, quote, tell us, we knew. And we could have stopped them, and we didn't. So that is, you know, you've got where the United States likes to play dumb, and that's where I think it's important for like journalists like yourself, and this is not a criticism of you, but to get out and tell the story. Another example right now of a story that the journalists are refusing to do their job is Donald Trump bombing these narcotics boats off the coast of Venezuela, because they claim, oh, these boats are carrying drugs destined for the United States. That boat, the first boat they blew up, cigarette boat, 60 feet long, had 4 outboard motors on it. If you look up how much fuel can each of those motors take, how far can they travel, it could travel 250 miles. Well, the difference from the north coast of Venezuela to the Florida Keys, which is the southernmost part of the United States, it's over 1,300 miles. Explain to me how a boat that can only go 250 miles is going to haul drugs 1,300 miles, particularly with 11 people on board. You know, if you're going to haul drugs, you want to haul drugs, not people. And yet, the journalists in the United States just said nothing, kept silent, and went, oh, okay, that's a good story.
Larry, about journalists, yes. American journalists and the prize, we saw the premiere, just the killing of the Ukrainian girl, Afro-American, who he just killed her in front of people.
Yeah.
And a liberal mass media, democratic mass media, they didn't even tell the story.
Right.
Though, if she would be black and a white person would stab that girl, hey, Netflix would make a soap opera out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
It would be a White and Two, or the whole America would be in chaos of the Civil War. That's clear. If we speak about the hit of Israel on Doha, I'm not saying that Americans didn't know. They knew 100%. But probably from the Al-Udeid base, they had extra fuel, and everybody knew about that. But my thesis is that they let Trump down. Not that they didn't tell him, but they did not get the success. If they would be able to kill Hamas members,
Right.
everything would be swallowed. If the genocide in the Gaza sector would give result, if they would truly win Hamas, then Trump would not be against. Everybody would be for it. We're not gonna have a false hope that Americans don't care about Palestinians. You know, they don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care about Palestinians, but they do care when their allies are not getting the result, military results. When their allies are not effective. They killed a lot of innocent people, but at the same time, they have not shown anything from the military success. Actually, they were under shame. They got into the international isolation. EU is against Israel. Anti-Semitism is stepping widespread all over the earth. And Mr. Netanyahu is guilty. And others, they're people killers. Trump was let down not by that strike, but by the loss of the strike. They killed the citizen of Doha, or Qatar, who gives a Trump of planes and invests into the American economy. This is why Trump was pissed off. The reason is simple. The countries of the region, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Kuwait, they looked at it and they thought, if Doha is not safe, why Riyadh is in safety, or other cities and other capitals that are paying to America for safety, they are buying safety from Washington. The image of the United States, the authority in a region went down.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, all states of the region will say, why should we pay to Biden, Clinton, Trump, whoever? We just signed a collective safety pact with Pakistan. They have nuclear weapon, and they will together guarantee the safety of each other.
Yeah.
That's what happened. So Trump was, that's why he was upset. He was pretty pissed off after this unsuccess with his number 10 or number 15 in a series of losses in Gaza sector. Trump stepped out with Netanyahu and he said, listen, dude, we got to finish it up.
Yeah.
I've been in months in power and I haven't shown anything to the world. I've stopped, 8 or 18 or 28 wars, but the main wars still keep going on. We have to put an end to it. I'm in 2025. Due to you, I didn't get the Nobel Prize for peace. You are the one that took my prize off. Come on, fix it up. Make it at least a view that we had an image that we... Because I don't believe in all these agreements, what they do. I don't believe their plan. And its livelihood, I don't see the future of this plan and what Hamas does, where the Palestinians will live, who will manage them, who is Tony Blair there, who is Tony Blair. So for the series of questions, we don't have the answers. And though I hope that parties will get along, but I still expect that there will be a new turn of the conflict.
Well, you know, the fascinating thing is with Trump, he gets to take all sides of the issue. And with the Gaza peace plan, you know, he had all the Europeans lined up behind him. Several of the Gulf Arabs, al-Sisi was there, Erdogan was there, King Abdullah of Jordan was there. Interestingly, Mohammed bin Salman was not there. But in Sharm el-Sheikh, yeah. And who else wasn't there? Oh, well, nobody from Israel and nobody from the Palestinian side. And so I described it. I said, that's like holding a wedding, but you don't have the bride and groom. But we're celebrating the wedding. Yeah, you know. You got to have the couple there in order to try to work out a deal. And we're seeing the same kind of political theater, I think, surrounding the upcoming meeting in Budapest between Putin and Trump. Are you of the belief that Putin can make concessions to Donald Trump?
No, Russia is at the very strong position now. If we would be at the weak position, yeah, we would be ready for concessions for, even if it wouldn't be weak or if it would happen even earlier, a year ago, 2 years ago. Today is too late. Russia has offered very many times. Let's talk. Let's have a conversation. Russia gave concessions when they didn't have to do that. And every time something happened, not at our fault. Either Boris Johnson would get involved, or somebody else would get involved, or Zelensky would accept a little bit of drugs more than usually, and something takes place. Today we talk from the position of power. We're still ready for the dialogue, for de-escalation. This de-escalation would be of a sample of a 2025, with a place that we have today in the battlefield. Russia has freed up a lot of territories and lost a lot, yes, a lot of casualties. And many times we were lied and cheated to. A lot of hopes didn't come true. So today we're not ready for concessions in a matter of how Zelensky reads it or what deep state thinks about. We have our own position. It's a strong position. Concerning Trump, you're absolutely right. What happened at Sharm el-Sheikh, it's a sample. It's not only one example. Yes, Sharm el-Sheikh, they didn't have Saudi Arabia. Let me tell you why. I have sources that said to me that Prince bin Salman He's jealously treated that Egypt became a platform and not Saudi Arabia. Ben Salman spent billions of dollars, without exaggeration, to be at that place. He had to be the peace platform. His platform should be the first one, not the Cairo. Next thing, Hamas is not there. Netanyahu is not there. The main players, truly, no bride, no groom at the wedding. That speaks that the sides of the conflict don't understand, are they ready for the de-escalation or not? And the region has no unity. There's competition, there's strife, their own images of how it all is supposed to work out, but there's no unity and no solidarity with the Palestinian people. Saudi Arabia thinks about money. Qatar thinks about money. Lebanon thinks about money. Nobody thinks about Palestinians. And Trump also thinks about money. Deal, show, and they would make put him on camera. A small example, very interesting. He said that I have stopped the war between Pakistan and Iran. But there's no war there. There was no war. Let me remind you what took place last year. Yes, Pakistan hit Iran because Iran hit Pakistan. But in the first and the second case, the place were hitting, they were hitting the terroristic organizations on those territories concerning Tehran and Islamabad. So the capitals, and they didn't fight each other, but Trump doesn't care. He doesn't care. He would say beautifully, hey, one more war is stopped, give me the World Prize. And I think that Russian and Ukrainian conflict would be the same approach. No solution for the first reason, not caring for Ukrainians or Russians. Hey, let's do something. I would call it peace. I say that I won that all, I stopped it. I would get this Nobel Prize in 2026 and everybody would be happy. And then, I don't care. That's what I'm scared of.
Well, look, don't forget, he also stopped the war between Azerbaijan and Albania. I think Azerbaijan.
That's the point.
He went Azerbaijan, and people are looking on the map going, where is that?
So he doesn't care. And was there war or not? Is there any countries or not? Or there people or not? So I think it shows truly just don't get upset, please. Don't be offended. It gives the level of internal state of the society, education level, and the knowledge of what takes place. People don't care.
You may not be aware of this statistic. Back in the 1950s, early 1960s, the literacy rate in the United States was around 97–98%. Today, the literacy rate is 79%. Of that 79%, 50% read at the 6th grade level or lower. So you're not saying anything, you're just simply being a factual reporter, okay?
Yes, thank you that you illustrated my thesis. I didn't know about the statistics, but I have guessed that more or less from other numbers. Yes, Trump is a showman, as a person of business, he understands exactly who he speaks about, who he talks about, conveys the message. Albania, Azerbaijan, then, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The main thing, it would be beautiful that American would see and say, oh, hey, yeah, now America's great back again. That we're going to vote for this guy, or he is the ones who would inherit the Vance. So but that's what we have, that's the reality.
Yeah. Well, let me shift to Russia for a minute. What, so let's put it in your age cohort. You're the age that I was when I was an analyst at CIA. And I was considered an old man then, at least among my contemporaries. What is your sense among the people, let's say, who are 40 years and younger with respect to the special military operation? Are they supportive? Are they impatient? Are they insistent that more be done? because they're the ones who are primarily affected in doing the fighting and suffering the casualties.
I think that people in Russia, young people, youth, in reality they support. There are some that are against, definitely. There are some that quietly sitting and not supporting. They don't highlight it. They don't support some are loud. We know that they left, that not many of them. They're marginal. They call them the politicians and doesn't look so serious. And there are those that support with all their strength. The ones that don't support, they sit and they be quiet and they're afraid and they're waiting till it all will finish up. And you know, I don't judge them, okay? We have freedom.
Right.
If you don't hurt, if you don't threat, if you don't work, and you're just sitting and waiting until everything will finish up to do what you want to do, your life, okay,
yeah,
no problem there. You see, nobody pressures anybody. But the ones who support, they support fully. They engage. People, not rich people, would collect the money, collect the machinery, send the equipment, instruments, send it to the front line. Old women, they collect all the cards and they support. This is what we need to focus on. When we talk about young people, we need to understand that not all of them support, but the ones that do support, they support actively. They support business. It's either left or survive overseas using Russophobia as a method to exist because it sells, or just stay and do whatever they do quietly, not influencing anything. I don't know how much is that in a percent, supporting, not supporting. But the ones that do support, that's the majority, active majority.
What about the rest of society or society as a whole in Russia? Is there growing impatience or hello? Hello?
Yes, he can hear me.
Okay, good.
Okay. You mean unrest in the Russian society?
Yeah.
I don't see unrest. I don't see panics. You know, you are yourself in Russia.
Yeah.
Yes, you're in Moscow, and Moscow is not Russia. Moscow is the capital, and you have to travel the regions. We go with a club among the regions and the cities, and we talk to people in panics, protests, pressure. No, there's none. Are they tired? Yes, they're tired.
Yeah.
But who would like to have war? You know anybody who loves war?
No.
You don't have the people that like the, operation on the stomach.
Not even General Abdi. I was with General Abdi last night. And he was as sincere as he could be. That, he said, I'm tired of the killing. And he wants peace, but not at the expense of Russia's sovereignty and security.
I'll get back to that analogy today that I started. We understand that when we get sick and are strong, and we need a special operation, special intervention, it bothers us. An operation and the preparation for that operation, and people get tired. If there's a worry, yes, yes, we have it. But that is with a hope that this necessary operation, surgery will take place, you'll continue to live, and you will have long years to live. They're not people that are rejoice when the doctor says that they go to the surgery, but there are no healthy people that are good-minded, that would be running away from the doctors. That's necessary to survive. So I think majority of people that stay and support the special operation by money, with money, effort, humanitarian help, it's a necessity. We have to live through it, we have to win, and continue going.
What about from an economic standpoint in society? What do you observe there? Because on your radio show, do people call in? Do you have interaction with the listeners? Do they ever, complain about the economy or say, hey, things are great?
On one side, the discomfort that has placed due to sanctions, they are, yes, it concerns, there's a concern. Yes, the prices went up. Something when, access is not there, but there's a small amount of Russians who put import BMW car above sovereignty of the country. If we speak about every day, just a regular situation, refrigerator, parks, malls, shops, everything is there. And I haven't spoken about that, but I will tell you, when everything has started, I thought that it would be worse in the very beginning. When brands started leaving Russia or trademarks closing down and imported sovereign companies, and same thing with Islamic Iran, it would be difficult. And I was ready for that, and I was thinking that most Russians were ready for that. I was thinking that we had to really tighten the belt and have patience, but everything a lot more positive. Yes, it was difficult somewhere here and there, but as totality, we don't see that. The deficit, no lines. Great increase in poverty. We will go over all the difficulties that we face. They're not fundamental. We are a very rich state, very rich. If you take a look at the Russia 2022, 23, 25 with Iran of 79, 80, 81, and etc., Russia is in a far much better position. Wealthier, we do have some fat on, and in this state, as today, we can live for a long time. And my analysis is based on talking to the experts, not with simple people, the ones that are serving economic sector, financial experts, and they understand what they're talking about.
You're too young to understand the irony of this, and that it's not your fault. You were born when you were born. But in the old days, prior to 1990, Pravda was seen as the ultimate oxymoron, or the joke, because the information in Russia, or then Soviet Union, was so controlled that Pravda was anything but Pravda. And there existed this underground media, samizdat, where people would print and share articles. Well, now I've lived long enough that here you are, a journalist, working for Pravda, where there actually is much more Pravda in Russia than in the West, where it is the West that's cracking down. It's the West that's controlling who gets to speak. It's the West who's controlling what gets published. And that's why I say, I enjoy the irony because I can remember what it was and seeing what it is now in Russia, where, journalists like yourself, you don't strike me as oppressed, that someone's trying to control you, what you say, and you seem quite able to speak your mind and to criticize the government if necessary.
Yes. I know what you talk about, though I was grown during Perestroika time. I didn't touch the USSR and early USSR with Glavlit and the censorship and samizdat and others. What you spoke about, I have a close person that it was possible left.
Yeah.
Left to Germany, lived the whole life there, reached great heights there. And today he came back from Germany. He left Germany and lives in Moscow. I talked to him, he said, I was leaving from a certain things I didn't like. in Soviet Union. When it was possible, I left. I didn't agree with a lot of things. Now I understand that what I left now came to Germany. And I come back from those things.
Yeah.
I don't leave Germany. I have not left Russia. I left from those things that I did not agree with. I don't agree with what takes place in Germany. I understand what they talk about. And I am not against control. In a normal size, amount, and in a form that is present in Russia. But why those that criticize Russia they say that Russia doesn't have a freedom of speech? Look at Israel. They don't have any freedom of speech.
Right.
Their forepost of America on the Far East, that's military censorship officially is fully working. Today, when it's war, that Benjamin Netanyahu is wrong. You can't say that.
Yeah.
Or you can, but you will have circumstances. And in Russian Federation, there is a control. When the enemy is dreaming about how to hurt, how to damage, the doubt, the control, it must be there. But it's a healthy control. It's a control, that honest control, where everybody understands that today you have to limit yourself in some things, not to lose. Not to get a slap on the face. Same thing in Iran, when I have asked those questions to one of the priests. How come you don't want to allow people to take hijab off officially? You know, the young people, they're protesting. They don't like it. It's a point of pressure. And the enemy is pressing that point. Just take off hijab and take the card. In a Qum city, one of the priests, Abbas, I agree with you, that in different Muslim countries, hijab is not everywhere is a must.
Right.
But hijab is it's a pinpoint, it's a symbol. When during Iran-Iraqi war, 8-year war, our soldiers were dying, they found notes in their hands. And was written, we're dying that our sister and our mothers and our daughters would be able to have a right to wear hijab. It's a symbol of our victory, of our religion and culture. And if today we take away that hijab, one element, we will give an enemy an opportunity to get into the small hole that Chris created after hijab was taken off. And the enemy will fill it up by getting into that small hole. So you have to have a control, but in a healthy state and proportions, and without being crazy. And Russia doesn't have that, of course. It's normal, free state that so happened that is a fighting, and you have to filter the information.
What about, I've noticed in your charitable work that you're involved with rehabilitation for military veterans wounded during the special operation in Ukraine. And it goes under the title National SVOIM. What does that stand for? Svaim?
It's translated into English like to your own.
Oh, okay.
We do help people. We help people that helped us. They fought for us, and they lost their health, which is the most valuable thing. And it was such a damage that without extra help, the state helps. But the extra help would go for long, many years.
Okay.
And we want them to get well and continue to live a full life on.
Are finances a problem with respect to that?
We try. Finances are the problem. We exist for donations. We provide medicine, treatment, care, good care, due to the people, money that is coming as a fund. You know, it's not unlimited. People get tired, and A lot of people are in need, and also a lot of those that want to help, and they organize these collections. Private character, and at the level of the funds, there are different funds, big funds with federal support, less support, like us, somewhere in the middle. But we try,
Is,
and we'll reach our level.
is it that the government is not doing what it can to support these people, or is it that the government's not set up and equipped to support these people, or?
No, I think that state does the maximum, but it's too many.
Yeah.
Unlike cases, unlike the rest of them. Every case is individual and different.
Yeah.
It's difficult to approach that way. State is the state because it's a state machine, and it helps. It gives equally to each. There's certain standards, and in our case, Mr. Filayev, that we helped, he received a heavy wounding, eyes, hands, legs.
Yeah.
You can take a look at his story. The help that the state provides is enough, but if we help, it will all move faster and more quality than it could have happened before. It just would be a standard.
Well, yeah, and it's not
И
just something limited to Russia. I sit on the board in the United States of something called Combat Soldiers Recovery, and it was set up by my bookkeeper, of all things. She lived next door to a surgeon at Walter Reed Army or Medical Hospital, who's now based in Bethesda, Maryland. And when soldiers would come back, severely wounded, having lost an arm or both legs, all appendages, or suffering traumatic brain injury, once they got through the initial treatment and were then put into, let's call it temporary housing, the government didn't pick up their expenses. I was like, what? And so my bookkeeper set up a program where she would raise a small amount of money. They were just giving people $300 a month. But in some cases it was enough. They could buy cleaning supplies. They could fly a loved one in. But, war unfortunately creates, these wounded soldiers, these wounded veterans. And my view is if you're going to send them to war, then by God, you better take care of them if they get shot up. And so I applaud you for your work and doing that. It makes a difference in people's lives.
Yes, and the state is a state. State has a lot more to take care of. Russia is a social state, as you know. We don't have the problem like we have you guys have in U.S., as I know. Medical things, the insurance, Obamacare, and all that. That's a huge, huge, huge problem in the United States. Russia is a social state. We have free medicine here.
Right.
At a very good level. But when the society shows care for the ones that protected them, for that lost that wore their hands, legs, and hearing, when the society can do a restoration a little bit faster, more quality, it buys the medicine that covers the state. It's good. That's what we do.
Abbas, is there anything else I should ask you? Have I forgotten to ask anything that you want to talk about?
You want to ask me a question? I don't know. I'm ready to answer all of your questions. Maybe concerning Syria, if you're curious. I'm half Syrian.
Well, yeah, we'll close out on that. When Bashar al-Assad was overthrown by, in fact, had another guest on earlier, he's been indicted by the FBI with a $10 million reward on his head, just like al-Julani. The difference is they're accusing this gentleman of having interfered in the U.S. election, where here's al-Julani, who's been responsible for the murders of civilians, Alawite, Shia, Christian. And when this West-engineered coup that brought Julani to power and put these radical Islamists in charge, it was presented as a big defeat for Iran and a big defeat for Russia. So here we are now, about a year later. Was it a big defeat for Russia and Iran?
Let's call things they are. What happened in Syria, that's not good. That's not what we were headed to. That's not what we lived in 2015, came to Syria for. Answering the cry for help from the Syrian people. Many years we were fighting with that gentleman that you speak about. We fought with him for many years. And today, we take him in Kremlin for the reason that there is no other power. And Syria is still there. Syrian people are still there. And I always say about that, we came to him to help not Assad, not personally Assad, but we came to help nation that elected Assad. And difference from Assad was elected, and who elected Julani, voted for him. He does not represent Syrian people. Al-Sharab, he came, he said, I am the president of the transition power. Then there was a fictive nation meeting where they elected 70 to 30% were appointed by him, and 70% through colleagues, through the voters. That also was Julani's body formulated. So the national meeting is from the Ashara people. It's a total occupation. He is a self-called, but there's no other power in Syria. And whether we like it or we don't like it, this is, we have given to the promise to the Syrian people. Everything flows, everything changes, like Geracles says. There's a war with Ukraine, special military operation, and Russia had to put the priorities. However we're hurt, at whatever degree we're hurt. Kursk region for us is a lot more important than what happens outside of Russia, even in Syria. Though Syria is our ally and Assad is our friend, Kursk is much more important for us. What happened, happened. But as Vladimir Putin said with Al-Shara, he said that highlight, he says, Syria has a lot of ties with us, with the Syrian people. Al-Shara, today he is, tomorrow he is not. Maybe tomorrow he'll leave, we have another one new. And then another one. Syria exists for many years, and it was occupied, it was burned. You know the story. The history of Syria is very rich for these tragical events. But Syrian people, they're here now and they're suffering. Food safety, the balance of strength. Israel is bombing. America occupied part of Syria. Everybody wants to tear apart Syria. And however, it wouldn't sound even that they have the enemy of Russia there but Syria is needed for Syrians. Al-Shara came and we took our enemy, but we can say differently. We have fought with them, we won with them at a certain period, but then they had the revolt. And now they're coming to Kremlin to say, help me, please, because he cannot handle it on its own, because Turkey will not help. Israel will occupy. Israel already said that they will not leave from the south of Syria, and they will be there with a Hermon Mount. And at that point, everything is quite clear. Realpolitik.
One more example of the United States meddling in the internal affairs of another country without any regard for the consequences. So, Abbas, listen, thanks for this conversation. We covered a lot of territory, and I think people, if they take time to watch and listen, they're going to glean something from it. This is brought to you courtesy of the International Unity Club and with TASS, a news agency that's also making sure that people are now in modern Russia properly informed. Thank you so much.